This is the second part of a video series called Anabaptists and Art, Problems and Solutions. If you haven't seen the first one, go ahead and check it out. I'll link to it down below in the description. So with that said, let's get into it. It sounds counterintuitive to say that constraints can be a vitalizing force, but I believe that this can be the case, and I believe that it is one of the most important considerations when it comes to this discussion of Anabaptists and art. On a surface level, cultural and moral constraints are barriers that keep us from moving into artistic territory, which we might otherwise access with unrestrained abandon. And this is admittedly the case. Our response might be to try to break down these barriers. However, it is my belief and experience that these constraints can be the soil or the catalyst out of which comes art of value and beauty. Now, I know that this sounds like a pat solution, so please understand that I offer this idea not as an easy formula, but as an idea to wrestle towards. Let me provide an example of what I am pointing toward. I recently came into possession of a film camera, and I have really enjoyed learning to use it in spite of its limitations. In fact, much of the value that I gain comes because of the limitations that it has. When using a film camera instead of digital, it narrows your range of choices, but in doing so, it forces you to use a more deliberate approach and put more thought into one's selections, achieve greater accuracy with exposure and with focus, fine-tune your skills. While it is true that I can do things with a digital camera that I can't do with my film camera, it is also true that the voluntary constraints of film can yield some astounding results. There's suffering in constraints and restrictions, whether they be cultural restraints or even restraints of our own limitations. And herein, I think, lies the exact irony that I'm pointing towards, because we know that suffering is capable of producing great vision and art of extraordinary luminance and passion. As followers of Christ, we are after something unusual and extraordinary, the beauty of holiness and the beauty of suffering. The second solution that I would like to offer in describing how Anabaptists and art can coexist is the idea that we as artists must truly understand, respect, and embrace the ethics and values of Anabaptism. Now, art by its nature is subversive, so there's always a natural tension between art and culture, and it is the responsibility, I think, of artists to choose not to destroy, but to illuminate our culture. And this means honesty about not only the weaknesses, but also the strength of our culture and the good things that we find within our culture. It means that we place ourselves within our cultural stream and really immerse ourselves in it. We don't accept easy answers, and we don't let ourselves off the hook easily. This high road of moving within our cultural constraints and boundaries is something that I feel passionate about and believe will bring forth some really good things. My third point in connecting Anabaptism and art is that Anabaptism is firmly in the camp of saying it's the walk that counts, not the talk. And this, I think, connects on the wavelength that art is at its best when it is honest and raw, and it is usually showing, not telling. It's influencing by means of storytelling and experience, and these things do connect with Anabaptism. If we as artists can seek out these points of connection and be the conduit of these values, then I have great hope for Anabaptist art. My last point is a little different from the others in that I want to point out something that I think needs work. And this is the idea that we need a better grasp of the role that imagination plays in shaping us and helping us become Christ followers. We have a pretty good grasp of how shaping practices are, but we don't give much space to imagination. And this, I think, is a missing link that we artists need to help connect. Rather than fretting about how the imagination gets dismissed, we need to be the ones that are leading the way in cultivating a theology of imagination and pointing to the imagination as a means of enhancing our love for Christ, strengthening our culture, and providing unique and clarifying perspectives. If you like this series, drop me a comment. I would love to hear from you. And if you are an Anabaptist with a creative itch, I hope this helps you find your way.